is Katie, and I thought I'd do like a quick get to know me kind of video. I'm a bit of a talker and I might go off in a tangent, but I'll try and keep it brief so you get like a little bit of a rundown of like a little bit about my life, a little bit of the last couple of years because they've been quite impactful, and so you feel like you're sort of up to date and you sort of, maybe there's a little bit of context to things that I might talk about and also why certain things are now of interest to me. I've been married for 8 years and been with Greg since I was like 19. I'm now 36, I'm 37 in November. But I have been a hairdresser since, well, for about 20 years now, which is so mad because I don't feel old enough, but I still feel like I'm in my mid-20s. I have a little studio that I work from and I see clients on like a one-to-one basis, and it's great because it kind of allows me the freedom to sort of work as and when I want, although you end up working more, I think, than what you would normally. So 5 years ago, I opened a salon. I loved it. It was in the middle of Brighton, had 3 floors. Like, it was like, I loved what it looked like and what it stood for. I ate, slept and breathed the salon. Actually, do you know what? It weren't for me. I decided that I didn't want a salon anymore. It wasn't serving me. It didn't make me happy. It didn't fill me with excitement. So I decided I was going to close. That wasn't as easy as said. That was a whole year of you're over something, you're done. In your head, you're like, I'm out, you've checked out. But then you've got to stay in it for like a whole year. It was so hard. But also in that year, I think it was kind of like a distraction technique, maybe, in hindsight when I look at it. I sort of took control of my health. I'd had some issues with PCOS. I'd seen a GP and she'd said to me that I should try an anti-inflammatory diet. So I decided to get a coach, someone that helped me with nutrition, and which they did. They gave me a plan, and for the next like 6 months, I was on this kind of like diet plan. Within 1 month of like not eating certain foods and eating other foods, within 1 month, my PCOS symptoms, literally, like, I went from like really painful periods, really heavy periods, to like I was relying on like really strong painkillers just to get through that like first few days of my cycle. After like sorting out all my health and like food, that I remember the first period after that first month, I didn't take one painkiller, not even a paracetamol, which is like mental. That kind of started my journey to realise how important health is, and especially to what we put in is what we get out. From taking painkillers monthly to like, I literally haven't taken one since. Like literally, since that day, I haven't taken any pain. I've not taken even a paracetamol, I don't think. If you've got PCOS, genuinely, if there's one thing that you do, you might feel hard thinking, oh, I've got to cut all these things out. But when you realise on the other side what can actually happen, like, I can't unsee that now. I would highly, like, strongly encourage you to just try it. Just for like, even if you said like, for 1 month, I'm going to make these commitments. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Fast forward 6 months, I carried on my health journey, still like eating really well. I lost a bit of weight, unintentionally. Like, I didn't really mean to like lose, I didn't really have any weight goals, but I ended up losing a bit of weight. Looked and felt the best I've ever felt. But like my fitness like increased, I started running, I started doing all sorts, I signed up for High Rocks, you know, I was all in because that's my kind of personality. But what also happened about 8 months later was my period stopped out of nowhere. At the same time this happened, I lost my other dog. I used to have another French bulldog. Henry had a brother called Hugo, who was like my spirit animal. Anyway, so I lost him, and so it was obviously very emotional. Makes me emotional now. It was obviously a very emotional time and very stressful. And also then that was when it came about that the salon was closing. I had to empty it. I was dealing with a lot of things, and so it was a stressful time. Like, especially like August, September, maybe going into October last year, there was a lot going on, lots of change. So I put it down to that. But then later when it didn't return and I wasn't stressed anymore, I decided to see my GP. She had come back in February because apparently if you've had more than 3 cycles in a year, they're not worried. From going from really regular to all of a sudden stopping, I was worried that like there was more something going on that I didn't know about. Like this wasn't just like a PCOS thing, this was like random. This is where this journey starts, by the way, so I told you I'm going to go off on a tangent, but this part of the story is kind of going to give you an update as to like where I'm at now and also what's happening going forward. Go to the GP, she dismisses what I'm saying to her. I want a blood test. She's not really giving me like, doesn't really want to do it, but she sort of like said that she would, but it was a very basic blood test. She said that hormones can change daily, so what we will say one day will be different the next day. So I understand what she's saying, but I was thinking like deficiencies. Like I was thinking, I wonder if it's more to do with like, what if I'm like iron deficient or got low thyroid, underactive thyroid, or completely dissatisfied. I decided to get my own blood test and I got a full blood count so that I could see for myself. Even though I can't read blood tests, I was like, well, surely I can read and understand if I'm low in anything. I had seen the doctor on the Saturday. I'd booked my blood test for the Tuesday and I had this acupuncture appointment, like consultation on the phone on the Monday. It was like a 90-minute consultation and she asked me so many questions, and she's like a women's health and fertility specialist acupuncture. That's her kind of like her niche, and she asked me so many questions. In that one phone call I learned so much more about the women's body than I had ever learned in my whole life. So naturally, me being me, decided that I needed more and wanted to know more, and so got a little bit obsessed about like women's health, hormones, how things work, you know, what things mean, and especially from like a holistic and natural approach. Anyway, more on that in another video. So I learned so much from Mo on that one phone call, and I was really looking forward to having acupuncture with her. In the meantime, I go and get my blood test. Everything's within range. I carry on seeing Mo for like a few months, having acupuncture, also trying different things along the way. I tried exercising a bit less, or tried different types of exercise. I tried eating more carbs. I saw a nutritional therapist. I stopped vaping. I don't really drink anymore, so I'm doing all these good things for my health, and yet no period. But I'll tell you what actually really changed it for me. Chat GPT. So I put my blood results into Chat GPT just to see what it would say. And it basically come back and said that I have low energy availabilities, which basically means I'm underfueling. It basically means for the exercise and like output that I do, so like the job that I do, I walk a lot because of the dogs. It just basically meant that my input, my food input wasn't enough for what I was doing for a long period of time. So my output of like fitness and stuff increased, but my fuel intake didn't. And so over a long period of time, it's like I was always in a deficit. Roll forward, I realised this, it tells me I need to eat more and it needs to be consistent, like every single day. So for 3 months, I ate a lot more, because at first your metabolism, like basically your metabolism adapts when you're eating low calories for a long time, and it thinks that's your new maintenance level. I wish I'd have realised sooner. I wish someone would have realised sooner. I wish someone would have asked me questions that had made me realise that my output and input wasn't matching up. For 3 months I did. I put on a bit of weight, but within 4 weeks of starting eating more, I got my first period after 8 months. And then 4 weeks later I got another one. And then 4 weeks later I got another one. So it just goes to show you that food is so important. So like, right in the beginning, food is important because of, you know, our hormones, and what goes in, you know, really affects what our bodies are doing. But it also, the amount of food that we intake is also really important, like massive life lesson. I'm 36 years old, as I said earlier, and my husband and I haven't had kids yet. Something that we've been contemplating, I'm in an R in over the last couple of years, especially like with people around me having children. It just makes you ask the question. And I'm going to be really honest. When I wasn't having my periods for that 8 months, definitely made me think about it more, because it almost felt like that choice had been taken away. When someone says, actually, no, you can't now, then it really makes you think about whether or not you want to have kids. And it definitely, I had like moments of like, I do really want them, but I can't now because I've messed it up. That's how I genuinely felt, if I'm honest. But here we are, a few months later, I'm having regular periods again. We're just going to see what happens and go from there. But that does feel really scary to say. No, that's where we're at there. In the meantime, me being me, and I can't sit still for 5 minutes. I'm in my little studio doing hair, working the hours I want to work. Like, I've had loads of trips away this year. We're very lucky. We've got a camper van, so we are able to go away, like, you know, on little camper van holidays with the dogs. But later in the year, I have a challenge starting, and that is I am going to study to become a nutritional therapist. I think the impact that food has had on me over the last few years has made me want to dive in, learn more. I think especially from like a women's health thing, I've been obsessed with health, hormones, and I want to know more. I want to know how the body works more. I want to know how food really affects us and how food can really help us, because it helped me so much. That starts in a few months' time. So between now and then, I don't know, I'm just going to do a few videos just to like get into my groove of doing YouTube. But I'll also bring you on the journey of starting my course in November. It's 3 years. I'm excited like for the end of it, when I have all this information and knowledge that I can then share. If you want to join my journey, feel free to subscribe. Maybe you're on a similar path, maybe you're a similar age and you are at a similar stage with like the whole kid thing. Maybe you've got PCOS and you want to maybe have a little bit of a chat about that and what I did that helped my symptoms. Maybe you've got missing periods and you want to know like how that journey went. The last few years has been impactful, and I just want to share it because I couldn't find anywhere that helped me apart from Chat GPT. I don't want to talk to a computer, I want to talk to a person. So if you're a person that is in any of those things that I've just spoken about and want to talk to someone about, or just want to like listen to somebody else talk about their experience, feel free to follow, subscribe, drop me a comment. I'd love to know you're watching and come along for the ride.